going on, everyone? Welcome to the June 28th, 2012 edition of Ask the King, and this is actually the 25th episode of Ask the King. So that's right, for 25 outings, everyone has asked me questions pretty much related to anything you can think of under the sun, and I've done my best to answer them. This episode may be a little bit special. I tried to pick the best questions out of the ones on the forums, also on Twitter, and also my Facebook account. If you're not familiar with the series or how it works, there's always a thread on my forums at thekingofhate.com. There's a section of the forums called Ask the King with a thread up for the next episode. In fact, there's already a thread up for episode 26 where you can submit your questions over the course of the month. And then on the actual day that I record this series, I actually go ahead and post up on my Twitter, which is @TheyCallMeDSP, or on my Facebook, which is also TheyCallMeDSP. And I grab the best questions from there to answer. Forgive me for 1 second, I'm actually going to set up the clock here so I don't fuck up the timing like I usually do. Stopwatch, here we go. So I'm going to set my stopwatch here for... No, that's not what I want, the timer. God damn it. So anyway, a couple things to talk about. I actually do want to... Here we go, set for 25 minutes and go. Okay. I did make an unexpected video earlier today. This is a celebration, 25 episodes, that's a cool accomplishment. But unfortunately, there was some really bad news this morning. My dad actually got laid off from his job. His job he worked at for 35 years of his life. That's right, for longer than I've been alive, he's worked for this company, and they got rid of him. Is anything in particular related to him? Probably not. This company has been laying off people ever since. This is the same company that laid me off 2 years ago. And they've just been dropping people every year, and it looks like the company may go out of business. So, not exactly completely unexpected like it was with me, because they've been on this downward trend. But I did make a video about it. If you want to watch it, please check it out. I talk a little bit about my parents for the very first time. You may get a little bit of insight into my dad and my mom. And yeah, just thank you already. I can tell you, the video has only been out for like an hour, and already there's crazy amounts of well wishes for my parents. So thank you to everyone who watched the video and wished my parents well. As I said in that video, I will update you on what happens with them, as things happen, okay? But anyway, 25th episode of Ask the King. What we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit differently, and what I want to do is actually answer these questions as well as I can and take my time. I am going to be timing for the video length. Obviously, as you know, with my camera can only record up to 30 minutes. But what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to possibly make this a 3-parter, if not a 4-parter, depending on how long it takes me to answer the questions. I'm not sure, but a lot of these times I go, oh, I got to rush and get it done within 2 parts. This, for a special episode, I'm going to take my time to answer the questions, okay? So, sit back, relax, grab a drink. Let's get right to it, okay? So the first question. It says, Phil, back when you watched the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championships, who was your favorite fighter, your most hated fighter, and what was the best fight that you ever saw? And that's from Bart Flyer. Well, the thing is, when I watched the UFC, it was in its infancy. We're talking like during the 90s, when there were really all these rules, and it wasn't a safe sport. It was pretty crazy. The early UFC years, they would have giant wrestlers going up against karate guys, going up against jiu-jitsu guys, going up against everything you can think of. And it was some pretty lopsided matches. Like I know I've probably talked about this before, but seeing a kickboxer run across the octagon and straight up kick a sumo wrestler in his face, crushing his teeth and jaw into his face, was fucking ridiculously brutal. But that's what it was back then. And that was the time when really I was into it heavily. Now, you want to know my favorite fighter? I'm probably going to go with Dan Severn. This guy is giant. It's a giant Greco-Roman wrestler. And this guy would go behind, like, I remember one time he was fighting some kickboxer. He goes behind the guy, completely latches him, and does a fucking backwards German suplex. The guy folded. His body literally went, whoop. So his legs are up here, whoop, and his back and head are here. He goes, whoop, folds up like a sandwich onto the mat. It was fucking crazy to see that. So he's probably one of my favorite guys. He went out there and actually won UFC once or twice. And it was cool to see a big guy just throw people around. I think it was pretty funny. My most hated fighter, I'm probably going to go with someone that a lot of people agree with, although this opinion might have changed over time. Tito Ortiz. At the time when it was his early career, he was a very cocky fighter, talked shit about everybody. And he was just, even when he lost, he would make excuses and get all pissed off. And so he really had this attitude about him that a lot of people didn't like, and I thought that that was probably, at the time, that was one of the things that I didn't like about him. Now, over time, he's matured, he's changed, he's a much different person now. But when he first started, that was like the person who everyone loved to hate. The best fight I ever saw would probably be a couple of the Royce Gracie fights, where Royce Gracie would whittle you the fuck down. Like, Royce Gracie, I don't know if anyone's seen this guy. He's short. He's a short Brazilian dude. And he was a master of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in UFC's infancy, he would be taking on people 3-4 times as big as him. You know, we're talking monsters of muscle. And he would fucking beat them because he was such a technical expert. He would know exactly what to do. If he's fighting a kickboxer and he couldn't get in, he would just shin kick the fuck out of the kickboxer for like 5 to 10 minutes until his shin was so fucked up the guy couldn't stand anymore and he would lose the fight. If he was fighting a giant dude, he would wait for the giant dude to come in and grab him in some kind of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu combo and submit him. This was one of the guys who first did the Kimura, who first did the triangle choke in a competitive setting. He was fucking beating these people who were so much bigger and stronger than him. So I would say some of the Royce Gracie fights that I've seen are probably some of the best I've ever seen. Okay? Okay. Next question. It says, hey Phil, if your back somehow gets better, would you change your life a little? I remember you said before that you played sports and were able to drive without pain before your injury. So if your back gets fixed, would you do those things again? And that is from BTR Yomega. There are some things that I miss. Every once in a while it was cool to go run around and play football or do certain things. But for the most part, the thing that I really do miss the most is, number one, being able to lift heavy objects, because as you know, I live alone. And it's hard, especially you're going grocery shopping, you're going, different kinds of things, you buy stuff, and there's a staircase I need to go up to get into the condo. I am on the first floor, which is lucky for me. If I got in the second floor condo, I would have really been in trouble. But, being on the first floor, but still having stairs to go up and having to carry heavy shit in and out, it's a pain in the ass. Like, I used to be able to, oh, fuck this, and grab 700 bags and just walk right into the condo in one shot. And now it's like, okay, trip number 1, trip number 2, trip number 3, because I can't carry so much at one time. And I like that feeling of independence, that I can do stuff by myself, and there's a lot of stuff that I have to be really careful about doing and not pushing myself and hurting my back any further than it already is. But the other thing that I do miss is the driving, because it's unfortunate. It seemed like my whole life, if I could have had a car, then I would have been able to do a lot of things. Then I finally got a car, and for like 3 or 4 years, I drove all my friends around. We used to go on road trips like crazy to go play Street Fighter at tournaments in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts, in New York, in Philly, everywhere around this area. One time I actually drove down to freaking Maryland with my friends to go to a tournament, and it was fun as hell. And then once this back injury happened, that all kind of ended. Now that when we do stuff, unfortunately, it has to be someone like John Rambo or OJ who drives, and it's cool that I have a nice car that we can drive around, but it's a detriment that, unfortunately, I can't do stuff myself. I mean, if my back were perfect, I would be able to go drive and see Panda Lee every weekend, you know what I mean? And I can't do that, and it's really unfortunate. So, if anything, probably the things that I would change is that I would definitely start driving more. I'd probably be able to see Panda Lee a little bit more or whatever. If my back were fixed, though, I probably wouldn't do things like lift heavy objects and play sports and stuff, simply because you run the risk of re-injuring, and that would be completely detrimental to the whole thing. Why would I bother even getting it fixed if I was going to do the same shit that could possibly hurt it again? Okay? Alright, next question. Hey Phil, I was wondering if you're able to pick and choose what type of ads show up on your videos. And if not, has there ever been an instance of there being something advertised that you were not supportive of? And that's from Might000. That's an interesting question, and the answer is no. Actually, I have no control over what ads show up on my videos. I can actually control what style of ad. So if I don't want you to see a video ad, I can turn those off. If I just, if I want you to see those, what do you call them, the overlay ads, the ones that are like over the video, I can turn those on or off. I can control overall advertising, but what I can't control is the type of ad. What's funny is that actually you control what type of ad you see, because if you're not familiar with how Google AdSense works, yeah, they actually use your browser history to give you ads. I know that's kind of scary. You're like, wow, they're kind of invading my privacy, but it's true. What they do is they take a look at your browser history to see where you've been. So, for example, perfect example, Panda Lee and I are possibly thinking of going on vacation in the next couple of months because it is a slower time of the year. There's not as many game releases coming out, and it looks like it would be perfect timing to maybe in August sometime to maybe go on vacation. So I was off some vacation websites, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, on my videos there are ads now for some of the things that I was looking up. So it actually uses your browser history to determine what kind of advertising to give you. So if you've been on some pretty nasty websites, I'm assuming you'll probably get some pretty nasty things. On the flip side of that, I've actually gotten some of the weirdest fucking ads, like Christian dating. You know, I've never done any shit like that. Why is that? Ads for different senators and people in my area end up being on my videos. Oil of Olay. My God, why does Oil of Olay keep showing up on my videos? I swear, every month there's like an entire week where every ad is Oil of Olay. Like, do I have like fucking skin that looks like I have Oil of Olay on my face? I don't know if I have that good of a complexion, so I have no idea where that stuff comes from. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that shows up sometimes, and I'm like, what the fuck? Now, is there anything outright that annoys me? Yeah, I would say some of the political ads annoy me because you don't want to be bombarded with political shit if you're not into politics, and sometimes it's really annoying to go to watch a video on YouTube and you go, oh, vote for Romney. Like, what? Like, what is this? This has nothing to do with me being on YouTube. Why am I being bombarded with this right now? With that being said, is there anything that I would definitively say, no, I don't want advertising for? And I don't think that Google AdSense goes that far to do like adult-rated shit or anything. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Let's be honest, most people don't watch the ads or they use ad blocker anyway, so. Alright, next question. So I'm trying to manage time here so it's a well-managed episode this time. Hey Phil, my question is, are you musically experienced? Have you ever enrolled in a music class or lessons to learn how to play an instrument? And that's from Long Live Cows. Good question. I think a lot of people wonder about my musical background since I do tend to sing in a lot of my playthroughs and such. And some of the stuff I make up on the fly, you know. No, I've never been trained in any kind of an instrument or anything. My history is that when I was a kid, my parents actually bought me a play drum set. It wasn't like a professional drum set, it was for a kid. And I banged the shit out of it, but, you know, I wasn't any good at it, I was just messing around. And I never really took it to the next level where I invested any time into learning how to do an instrument. During high school, a friend of mine actually had a guitar and like a how to learn how to play guitar thing, and when I started doing it, my fingers were fucking killing me. And I know a lot of people say, oh yeah, that's what happens when you start to play guitar. I know that, but at the time, in school and whatever, actually, okay, so I guess this will coincide with it and something completely unrelated. I actually took Accutane when I was in high school because I had exceptionally bad acne, okay? So I took Accutane, and I don't know if you're aware what it does. It completely changes your metabolism and different things about your body to try to stop the acne. But what it also does, it completely dries out your fingers, and so your fingers get cracked and even bloody at times. And because of that, I was like, I can't learn how to play guitar. My hands are already fucked up. I can't hurt my fingers doing this, so I never learned guitar. I do have some musical background. When I grew up, I went to a private school that had a music class, and so we always sang and learned different songs and stuff like that. I always had a knack for picking up songs and theme songs for, like, I can still sing to you any of the theme songs from the childhood shows that I watched. DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, you know, all those things. I know all those things. I had a penchant for like catching these ditties and tunes that were kind of catchy, and I could remember them perfectly. Outside of that, not really. Like when I was in high school, I actually tried out for things like the High School Musical or whatever, and it was funny because every time that I tried out, the people were like, holy shit, this kid can sing. And then I never got a good part because unfortunately it was more about popularity, it was more about who's the better looking person, and those people always got the lead roles. For example, the class president got the lead role of the musical. They gave me a part as an extra. We're not an extra, I had a speaking role, and of course they wanted me in the chorus, but they never put me in like a prominent role. Which is kind of funny because I'm pretty sure those people right now are doing absolutely nothing musical, while here I am singing and doing stuff in videos that thousands and thousands of people watch on a daily basis. So I think it kind of proves the point that if you have talent, you should give people a chance rather than worry about popularity and bullshit. But who knows? I mean, my life could be drastically different if I ended up being in musicals and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I love music. I actually enjoy singing. I just don't do it that much. But no, I have no formal training. I have no instrument skills or anything like that. But I actually do enjoy music, and I might have actually gone a different way with my life if stuff had been different, but it is what it is. Alright, next question. Dear Phil, as we all know, you're the king of hate, as emphasized in the name of this website, and you have earned the title for multiple reasons. You are someone that has been victim to the hatred and non-constructive criticisms of others. You're someone who's brutally honest to a point where it can be considered hatred, and you just generally hate a lot of things and have no need to censor your anger. This being said, why have we, the audience, and the citizens of the kingdom of hatred, not heard your 5 hateful decrees? Meaning, why have you not stated the top 5 things that you hate so much and that you would have entirely abolished altogether? Please lay upon us these 5 hateful decrees, your hatefulness, and that is from The Lemon. When I read this, I actually thought in my head, I was like, that's actually a really good idea. And so I'm not going to answer this here, but I want to thank The Lemon because I actually took a note, and this might be something that I do in the future, a series of things I really hate, things that I want to rant about, things that I just think should be gotten rid of or not happen, stuff like that. And so this may be coming in the future. Thank you, The Lemon, for the idea. I, of course, now will run with it, and it will become very popular, and you will get no further credit. Alright, this next question was actually asked by several people, so I don't want to give any one particular person credit, but it's a question about this new thing called Kickstarter. It's not really new, but it's now becoming a lot more popular. If you don't know what Kickstarter is, it is a website/business. And what it allows you to do is, let's say you have a project going on. Like, let's say after Project 7, I had a film series that I wanted to create, but I know that I don't have a lot of money to do a budget for it, but I want it to be really good. I want it to have props, actors that I have to pay, filming locations, and I want it to be really good. But I know I don't have the money to do this. I don't have enough money to finance it myself. What I could do is go to this website, Kickstarter, and put up the project and say, listen, here's the project, here are the details of the project. What people then have the opportunity to do is to donate money through Kickstarter, okay? And basically what they are, they're becoming independent financiers of this project. And what ends up happening is you basically get a credit, you'll be part producer. And depending on how much you donate, you actually can have incentives. So, if you donate $25, you'll get your name in the credits. If you donate $100, maybe you'll get a signed prop when we're done filming. If you donate $500, I'll have a private video call with you explaining what we're doing, and I'll keep you updated on everything, and you'll get a major title credit. And if you donate $1,000, at the end, at the final episode when we wrap, we're going to have these people come out and we'll meet and greet with all of you in person. Something like that, okay? And so a lot of people have been using this Kickstarter to finance their projects. And actually it's become very, very popular and very successful, to the point where it's not just film projects and stuff like that, it's actually video games. Entire video games are being financed through this Kickstarter model, where people are saying, wow, this game sounds like an interesting premise for a game, but this poor independent developer doesn't have any money. We'll donate this amount of money and hopefully the game turns out to be really good. So everyone's asking me, what do you think about it? Did you hear the Angry Video Game Nerd? He kind of used this model to make his movie. Would you ever do something off of this? What do you think about games that are being made? So let me give you my thoughts. Here are the positives that I see. The positives are, right now, the way that, I don't want to say right now, but I said the previous way that these things work. For example, if I wanted to make a series, a web series, and I needed money, you have to find investors or producers. And the problem was, there's a lot of red tape to go through, especially with the amount of people out there that have creative ideas. It might be hard to be the one person who jumps up and that's the one that all the investors see and gets interested in. It was hard to break into this kind of business. What Kickstarter is doing, it's allowing the common man to show his project in the same light as everyone else and let these investors pick and choose what they want to do in a completely new and interactive way. Maybe necessarily in the past, for example, if Kickstarter didn't exist, how on earth would I market my project? Like, I don't know anyone, I don't know what avenues, how do I even get this out there into the field that producers can know that I'm making this project? So Kickstarter is a new way for the common person who has a creative idea to put it up for consideration into the field of people who have the money and want to invest in something. The negatives that I can see about this is that what happens if halfway through production the series ends up not being what you want it to be and you are one of the major investors. This happens a lot with creative projects. Sometimes things change. Sometimes in the middle of a project it changes form, or a new idea injects itself, or an idea that really was good as part of the idea to begin with ends up not working out, and so you have to replace it with a different one or find a way around it. It's a big risk for these investors to put their money into this and wondering what they're definitively going to get out of it. What if I put thousands of dollars into a game, the game ends up sucking and no one likes it? You know what I mean? In addition to that, on the flip side of it, when you open up your project to public investors to finance a project like that, now you are technically losing some of the control, because these people might make demands of you. No, I gave you $5,000. You better have that idea that we had at the beginning in this damn series, or else I'm going to be really fucking pissed about it. So you're going to feel now outside pressure from different sources who maybe finance the project. I don't know. I'm not 100% on all of the technical ins and outs of these things. But what I would say is, if you finance a project by yourself, you obviously retain complete creative control, and therefore you can say, okay, the responsibility lies solely on my shoulders to make this project work, as opposed to taking public funding like through something that is like Kickstarter. There's a risk involved there. It's funny because some people actually asked me, they said, Phil, will you ever do your own movie? Will you make a movie? Whether it's anything, it could be a movie of your life, maybe it's a creative movie, your own ideas, whether it's gaming related, doesn't matter, but would you ever consider making DSP the movie? And I said, well, right now it's absolutely nothing I'm thinking of. I obviously have no idea how to make a movie anyway. Maybe I would think up an idea and write a movie and then pitch it to professionals, but some people have actually asked me, would you consider using Kickstarter to finance it? And the direct reference here is that the Angry Video Game Nerd, I don't know if he exactly used Kickstarter, but he used a similar method, a similar site or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what he used. But he's filming a movie right now, and it's completely financed by the fans. The fans have financed it, and actually I believe they exceeded what his goal was. And so really his only investment here is, I got to put in the effort, and I have to utilize this money correctly so that this movie turns out to be great. But for me, I don't know. Like, for me, that's kind of a cop-out, especially for the nerd. And I'm not trying to naysay about James Rolfe or anything like that. But he's pretty successful, you know what I mean? He's way more successful than I am. He's been doing it for like 5+ years. He's got to be making really good money. I hear he has a really nice house. But for the popularity that he has, why can't he finance the project himself? When he actually announced that he was doing that, I was kind of like, what? Like, you made money, dude. Why wouldn't you put up the money yourself? Unless he's afraid that if he did put up the money himself, then the project didn't blow up like he wanted it to, that he would lose all the money. But I think that's kind of the risk that you put yourself into when you're doing something creative. It's your money, it's your idea, and that's what's on the line. And I thought it was kind of a cop-out that he said, oh, well, if the fans give me this much money, then I'll make a movie. It's like, wait a minute, dude. Like, this should be something that you're doing out of your own deal, and not like, oh, only on conditionally if the fans give me this much money will I make a movie. Like, that's kind of crazy in my opinion. If I were ever to do something of that epic scale, I would want at least to attempt to keep full creative control, and therefore I would want to finance it by myself. Now, by no means am I saying, yes, I'm doing this, and that if I ever do something like that, that's what I'm doing. I'm just saying right now, from my perspective right now, that's the way I see it. I would actually feel bad asking the fans to donate money to do something creative that I want to do. It's like, why wouldn't I do it by myself? You know, it's kind of like this whole YouTube thing to begin with. When I started on YouTube, I didn't have a clue that it was ever going to take off the way it did. But I did. I bought cameras and memory cards and tripods, and every game people said, geez, Phil, aren't you spending a lot of money on games? Yeah, I did, but look, in the long run, it worked out. But that's because initially I put that investment into it myself. It was my risk, and now here come my rewards, you know, my fan base. So it throws me off when I hear, oh, James Rolfe is using Kickstarter or whatever to make a movie. Why don't you do it too? I'm like, I don't even know if that's kind of a kosher business practice in my opinion. If I'm going to risk something creative like that, I would probably want to do it myself, you know, and that way I retain creative control, And if it flops, it flops, and it's not the excuse, well, you know, would have been nice if we had more time, or if we didn't have this going on, or if we had more money. That way it's just solely on my shoulders. That's just my philosophy now. And as you know, sometimes my philosophies change. And again, I don't know James Ralph's full situation. I don't know why he used what he did to make the movie. Maybe I'm completely off base. Maybe the guy for the past 5 years has been paying off debt that he had, and he finally bought a house and he's providing for his family, and he really doesn't have a lot of money. If that's the case, then okay, you know, it makes sense. If the fans were demanding a movie, that's what they wanted, and this guy didn't have the money to do it, then that's probably why he did it. But I don't know the whole situation behind it. If I were to do something like that, I would want to probably finance it by myself. So we're about to run out of time for part 1, and we've only answered like 4 or 5 questions, which is pretty funny. But I told you, this is the 25th episode. I want to take time to answer the questions fully and give you the answers you deserve. So this is the end of part 1. We'll come back with part 2, and we'll continue on with the questions and jump right into it. So thanks a lot, and I'll be right back.